correspondent Malcolm Brabant reports from the village of Hemsby by the North Sea.
For Kevin Jordan, this is a painful trip down memory lane.
It was natural for me to retire to a place like this. I could sit outside on my veranda, gin and tonics in the afternoon, watching the ships go by.
His dreams were wrecked 6 months ago by the cruel North Sea.
We had quite an unexpected storm, caught us unawares actually. My house was demolished because of erosion. I lost everything. There's no compensation for when you lose your house like that.
These pictures are all that remain. Jordan now lives in a social housing complex which he finds as depressing as his new status.
Climate change refugee, that's for sure. When you see these poor people trying to seek a better life in another country, it's so similar. My life has been affected very badly.
This battered coastline belongs to Hemsby in the county of Norfolk, 140 miles northeast of London. Blessed with a long, world-class sandy beach, it's a magnet for sun seekers when it stops raining. The concrete bathing platform is a benchmark. 50 years ago, it was identifiable as a Second World War defensive bunker. Now it's surrendered to the deep. Britain's Environment Agency says that this part of eastern England has one of the fastest eroding coastlines in Europe. Climate experts predict that within 25 years, a third of all of Britain's coastline, that's 1,200 miles, will be under threat from rising seawaters. And that would mean that more than 500,000 homes would be vulnerable.
You're getting quite big waves hitting Hemsby, where in the past they were probably a little bit smaller. And so you've got this hotspot of erosion.
Professor Robert Nichols, who heads the Tyndall Centre for Climate Change at the University of East Anglia, offers little comfort to those on endangered coastlines.
Even if we stabilised climate, this coast would continue to retreat. These problems would become smaller, but they wouldn't go away. So I think you've got to deal with living with erosion regardless of what's happening with climate change.
I've seen those bungalows going in 2013 and 2018, and I tell you something, it was heartbreaking to watch. You just have to hope and pray, you know, that it doesn't get any worse.
Carol Boys wants her children to inherit her home. But the widowed former nurse fears it'll be the next cottage to succumb to future monster storms.
I'm very upset over it because, you know, it could have been stopped. It's very stressful because you don't know what's going on down here. You don't know from one day to the next. I do get the impression that nobody's listening to us. Yeah, I really do.
It is a big fight, and the big fight basically is political will.
Simon Measures is Carol Boys' next-door neighbour. From here, he runs a web design business, as well as the campaign to save Hemsby.
We spent years and years getting a plan together, so we know what material we need, where it has to go. It's all done.
Measures and his fellow activists are exasperated with their elected politicians.
We don't seem to have any push from the local council, and the local council isn't pushing our MP, and our MP isn't pushing in Parliament, and Parliament isn't pushing the Environment Agency. It just seems to be that's what's lacking just here.
Sir Brandon Lewis, Hemsby's Conservative Member of Parliament, rejects claims of political inertia. In a statement to the NewsHour, Lewis insisted he was in constant touch with the local authority about erosion. 35 miles south is history's lesson about the North Sea's voracious appetite. The lost city of Dunwich is Britain's Atlantis. Legend has it that during storms you can hear the bells of churches that lie beneath the waves less than a mile offshore. This is all that remains of medieval Dunwich, once a centre of religious patronage.